guys in the dark.
I had worked my first job in retail at around 18 years old. It was a busy December at 8 a.m. I was working the checkouts as usual. I was scanning items and ringing up all the customers. About an hour or two into my shift, I had an elderly man who had bought just a handful of items. When I gave him his total, another guy right behind him, smelling like booze, handed me some cash. I told him that I wasn't serving him at this moment. I was serving the gentleman that was right in front of him. I had noticed that he was buying some knockoff Baileys, some booze, and of course I figured out this guy might be wasted. Right as I was taking the payment from the gentleman, I was planning in my head how I was going to tell the next gentleman that I cannot sell alcohol to him because he was already drunk. Since this was my first job, I never encountered any sort of thing like this before. I had finished serving the elderly gentleman, and now I was on to the drunk guy. I looked around in hopes to find one of my colleagues, my manager, or somebody, but there wasn't anyone in sight or available to help. I looked at the man just before I had opened up my mouth. It had felt like someone had grabbed some of my hair, and something sharp was poking me in the back. A man whispered into my ear, which I also smelled alcohol on his breath. "Serve my mate now." He pushed, which I'm assuming was a knife, harder into my back. I was in shock. I didn't say anything. I scanned the bottle, took his cash, and then suddenly they were gone. I turned around to one of my colleagues working the checkout right behind me, but all they did was look directly at me, asked me if I was okay, unaware of what had just happened. Then I went for my break. I saw my manager pass by. I had rushed over to him, told him what had happened. All he did was just laugh because he thought that I was actually joking, but criticized me for selling alcohol to somebody that was already drunk. I'm not sure what that sharp object was that was in my back, but it happened to cut me. Before the break, I could feel blood running down my back. It was pretty sore. Of course, I couldn't see blood as my uniform was black. I screamed at the manager that it was true, it did happen. I turned around, lifted my hair, as I have very long hair, lifted up my shirt to get my female colleague who was close by to do it. This guy had fucking sliced me. The manager had just told me, "Ew, I really don't want to see you lift up your shirt," and then just started walking away, staring into his phone. Needless to say, I didn't return to finish my shift. I had snuck out of the store. I took a taxi, and then I went home. My mother had cleaned up my back, and then she decided to dress it. The very next morning, she had called my work to tell them that I won't be returning. The manager was incompetent and would not take any action, when I could have almost been stabbed over a bottle of booze. I was working at a major department store in customer service, which meant that I managed the gift wrap counter and also helped customers with inquiries and worked on the switchboard answering the phones. One day it was around Christmas. The gift wrap counter was very hectic. A male customer, who was maybe in his 50s, came past and wanted to leave a small gift to be wrapped. I told him that there was about a half an hour to an hour wait, since it was a couple of days right before Christmas, and we were getting slammed. He said 30 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes. I said as I wrapped another gift, "I'm sorry, but that's the wait time. There are heaps of people right in front of you, and I can't just rush you in." I gestured to the enormous pile of presents behind me. Right as I had said all of this, he asked if I couldn't just do it quickly, since it was so small, and being the self-righteous prick that I am, I said no, there's a system here, and you will have to wait. I was wrapping the whole time, and didn't look up as I had said it. He said that I think you were very rude. You haven't even bothered to give me eye contact. I sighed theatrically, stopped wrapping, threw the scissors down, looked directly at him and said loudly, "It's half an hour, wait, if not an hour." He took his present and stormed off. A little while later, I was covering the lunch break on the switchboard. A man called through asking for the manager of customer service. I said that I can put you through, but can I just ask what this is reference to? The man said, "Well, I had just a very disappointing experience at the gift wrap counter with a very rude young lady named Josephine. I cut him off and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but I think you are complaining about me. I better just put you through." I was trying not to laugh, and he just kept on talking. He's like, "Oh, well, you said that was a long wait, was very rude. You, I mean, didn't give me any eye contact." I had to cut him off once again, and again as he tried to put in this formal complaint about rude Josephine, and just said, "Mate, I don't think complaining to me about me is going to be very productive for you or for me. Let me put you through to my boss." I put him through to an extension that wasn't in use, that I knew that would just ring out, and never heard from him again. I used to work at a grocery store. There was a deli department in the back. I happened to be in college at this time. I once had a customer threaten to climb over the counter and beat the living shit out of me because we were out of potato bacon soup. After the customer was escorted out by loss prevention, I was pulled aside by my department manager. She said verbatim that "I'm really sorry that happened, but why weren't we making sure that the soups were properly stocked?" I told my manager that I'm sorry. It's really not part of my job to make sure that they are stocked. I don't take the orders and I don't place them so the truck can bring in more. The manager got on to me and everybody there, telling them that we have to make sure that we have the bacon soup and anything else that needs to be stocked. And if we don't have it, or we are getting low, we need to let somebody know ASAP. I just agreed, even though I know it's not my job to count everything and to make sure that we have it in stock. I just continued on with my day, and I didn't worry about it after that. When I was working for a local women's designer clothing store in Vancouver, we had a real focus on styling the customer. I'd often end up in the change room to help customers when they had nothing but their undies on, which was fine usually. But one day, this man and woman turned up. The guy was wearing a lot of leather and those steampunk goggles. The woman was wearing a leather bondage-type bra and undies. As it turned out, they jumped on a plane from Seattle for a Kinky Sex Conference, so last minute they didn't have time to dress or pack. They loved the clothes that they were trying on so much that they left to get their third female friend, and then the three of them headed into the same small change room to try on outfits. We'd help them pick. They'd get completely naked, and we're all over each other without even closing the curtain properly. And yes, they also wanted help. And yes, the guy kept winking at my female coworker and I. I still don't know if he was trying to recruit us into their sex party or not. They were actually really friendly. I appreciate their body and sexual confidence. But, can I please not get so involved next time? I love to live my life fearlessly. During this time, I was 24. I'm 5'8" and 170 pounds. We had gone hiking one weekend. We had found a place to sit right afterwards. After we had smoked a little, we had to head back. While we headed back to the car, I tripped and hurt myself. I let my boyfriend know that we needed to head to Walmart so that I can get supplies to clean myself up. When we got there, I went to see if they had a phone case for my new phone. My man had went off to go look at some stuff while I was at the case. I found exactly what I was looking for, but there happened to be somebody in my way. I politely asked them to move for me. The guy in front of me just stares, when suddenly a woman decides that she's going to walk up to me. The woman grabs me, acts like she knows who I am. She asks me how I am doing, while looking towards the guy right in front of me. The guy looked pretty worried during all of this. I wasn't paying much attention since I was wondering if this lady actually knew me. She suddenly tells me to follow her, so I did, since I knew that I could trust her somehow. We walk away from the case. She tells me that she is very sorry, but she happens to notice someone was staring me down. One of them had taken pictures of me without me looking. Everything was in a daze when I suddenly realized people were staring directly at the both of us. I then noticed two men were staring me down. Two of them had a look that freaked me out. Both of the men were right next to each other talking and staring directly at me. I had grabbed my boyfriend, ran past everyone until I had found a police officer. Right before I found that officer, I noticed that they had followed me up to that point. I decided that I should hurry up into the car. My boyfriend was rushing behind me. He wasn't able to keep up, though. We both jumped into the car and drove off, and left for a place to go sit so I could calm down and tell him everything that had just happened. I'm not sure what would have happened if I had not been told about the people in Walmart. I had trouble walking into Walmart after that, and I'm glad nothing happened that day.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.